Hi, good morning. My name is Boni Vesmani Anastimanyalang. Today I'm going to re- representing assignment 2 one intervention a sustainable design proposal, which is for Sungai Kosial Blue Green Resilient Corridor and climate adaptive riverfront landscape for Tanah Merah. So first and foremost, there are the people condition, which is having flooding and waterlogging, poor poor river edge quality, exposed hot environment, and limited public space. So the problem statement are Tanah Merah experience increasing flood risk and urban bed stress due to climate change. Inadequate natural water storage and limited ecological connectivities. Existing infrastructure prioritize drainage efficiency over environmental resilience, reducing both ecological and social benefit. The quantitative evidence also have a flood-prone lowland. Climate projection indicate increasing extreme rainfall, urban heat condition. Bishan presented achieve approximately 40,000 meters flood storage capacity, and tree canopy and wetland system reduce surrounding temperature by 2 and 4 Celsius. So the user impact for resident, environmental, and community. For resident, flood disruption to daily activities, reduced outdoor comfort, and limited recreational opportunities. And for environmental, habitat fragmentation, reduced biodiversities, and increased surface runoff. For community, lower environmental resilience and reduced connection to river heritage. There are also problem diagram for this, which is there are flood vulnerability map, urban heat map, and ecological fragmented. So next is proposed intervention for Sungai Kusia Blue Green Resilient Corridor. There are design component, which is floodplain restoration, biosphere network, riparian biodiversity corridor, and shaded community river walk. So this is the section. This is the explode axometric, which is having like three canopies, pedestrian part, planting zone, wetland and biowalks, and flood plan and river channel. So the sustainable principle for this for environmental is flood mitigation, biodiversity enhancement, and passive cooling. For social is public accessibility, environmental education, and community well-being. And for economic is reduce flood damage and cost lower mentally, maintenance, and long-term ecosystem values. So for material specification for this are having some permeable paving, timber decking, vertebral grass stabilization, native riparian trees, and bioengineered riverbank. So the precedent comparison between previously Bishan Anmu Park Singapore and Tanah Merah proposal is Singapore have like natural river in large scale urban park and high investment. Meanwhile, for Tanah Merah, they have like naturalized river corridor, community scale landscape costs, and adapted implementation. So for the equity impact of diagram is like for this is like inclusive riverfront for all, which is environmental justice, social inclusion, accessible for all, and economic opportunity. So for the trade-off metric for this is like is for The strategy of for floodplain restoration, riparian planting, and wetland system, also community walkway. The benefit for this are flood protection, cooling biodiversity, water treatment, and public use. And the trade-off is like to reducing developed land, maintain requirement, and seasonal accessibility and construction costs. So for stakeholder resistant map, there are local authorities, developers, environmental group, business owner, and community resident. For cost and feasibility assessment, there are short term, which is 1 to 2 years, medium term is 3 to 5 years, and long term is 5 years and above. So the social equity analysis are to benefit accessible public green space, improve flood protection, better thermal comfort, environmental education opportunities, unequal accessible if for the potential risk, unequal access if concentrated in one area only, maintenance burden on local authorities, and the mitigation strategies for community stewardship program, universal accessibility design, and inclusive public space planning. So the key takeaway is by working with nature rather than against it, the Sungai Kusia Blue-Green Resilient Corridor can transform flood risk into ecological resilience, creating a cooler, safer, and more inclusive future for Tanah Merah. That's all.